the Daily Space Weather, folks. We are live on Twitch right now. We are live providing the information for which you strive, like the information about that, the local yellow dwarf, otherwise known as the sun, or perhaps Sol. Do you have a message for the sun? Please leave a comment if you have a message for the sun. Perhaps we'll convey it tomorrow. We do see a coronal hole here. We see no sunspots. There's a coronal hole moving into the Earth-facing zone there. And there's significant coronal holage south of the equator. We're going to look at some more views here momentarily. First, I would note that our videos have been getting demonetized on YouTube, and I'm not sure if I care anymore because the performance just sucks anyway. Although, they have, through manual review, remonetized some of the content. We're considering making all of it private because of, well, obvious reasons. So check us out on BitChute. It's bitchute.com/smAsho, and thanks to our latest subscriber over there. Cheers. The success over at BitChute is wild, unexpected, and incredible. A free information and censorship-free largely platform. So haven't seen any problems over there, only success. Here's the local yellow dwarf in 304 angstroms, and like the 193 angstroms view we showed you a minute ago, this is a 48-hour view of the sun, courtesy of the SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Bunch of plasma filaments there in the northwest and the northeast, and we're not going to show any custom views as there's too much news. And that was not an intentional rhyme, folks, although I am a published poet. Next we'll look at HelioViewer as I vanish. Poof! There's the 171 angstroms view, and there's the magnetogram showing 0 sunspots. Not a lot of magnetic complexity or organization going on in the Earth-facing portion, and let's head out to Stereo A, which is located way over here, following the Earth on its orbit, to check out the Sun comet here. This comet has passed in between, it's passed around the backside of the Sun apparently. Or it could be on the Earth side, I'm not exactly sure. It looked like it was going to crash into it. And also you can see this coronal mass ejection strike, which happened right there at the beginning of today's video. See right there, that's probably a bunch of protons striking the charge couple device. And again, you can see that comet off here, diving off to the right. And it looks like we actually have some Earth-facing ejecta there. I'm going to head to the Soho movie theater real quick and take a quick look at that to see if we see anything on the Soho. This is how you load the images, by the way, folks. And I apologize for the delay. I didn't see that Earth-facing coronal mass ejection until I did the video this time. So let's see if we can determine what's going on with it. Is it Earth-facing? And there could be an Earth-facing component there, but it's mostly not Earth-facing. It looks like it's going to miss to the east. So anyway, let's move on here, as it's not a big coronal mass ejection or a big deal. If you want to look at this stuff yourself, it's part of the integrated space weather analysis system. Just head to page 7 and click on Stereo Core 2 Space Weather Beacon, and you'll see that. Let's get back to stats, facts, etc. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux is down to 70 solar flux units, as we see solar minimum-like conditions once again, but an elevated solar wind. Let's look at the planet locations. There's where planets are, and oh my gosh, we've got a Dorito-shaped triangle between the Earth, Venus, and Mercury, which means there's geometry in space! Oh my God! Seriously, there really is a planetary pileup going on, folks. You can see there's, like, all the planets are in the same part of the solar system right now. Anyway, here's where things will be in 1 week. On March 30th. And oh my God! Does it say, is there something about it? Anyway, please, spike pile drive coronavirus. This is you. This is coronavirus on you. All right. Next, we'll look at the... let's look at me vanishing again. All right, so there's where stuff is above my head. And I absolutely consent to in-the-sky's privacy policy. Maybe make yourself a sky chart if you're interested in what's going on above your head. Where were you when Cygnus rose? Do you know about Deneb? Anyway, let's talk about X-rays, since Deneb is an X-ray source, being a high-mass X-ray binary and a Wolf-Rayet star and a just a generally weird star. GOES X-ray flux is pretty flatline here. Nothing resembling a B-class flare, and very low levels of X-ray flux. Real-time solar wind showing us. Looks like we may be getting a coronal hole magnetic connection here. As it approaches 180 degrees, we see a negative BZ at -3, and the BT is at 4. The BT is the total field. The BZ is the relative orientation to the poles. So you've got a south pole orientation. If both poles are sending out the same magnetism, you'd have a BZ of 0. Does that make sense? Solar wind density, 7.8. Well, 8.6 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed, around 474 kilometers a second. There's the data from ACE, showing daily missing data around 3 o'clock UT. Let's look at the geospace magnetosphere movies, as we do most days. Pretty much every day, here on the Daily Space Weather. This is 4 hours of data courtesy of University of Michigan. And pretty steady as she goes. No big gyrations in the solar wind speed or density, and no big Holy crow! Son of a beehive! It's I've vanished again, folks. Next, we're looking at the geospace magnetic perturbations on the ground. Changes in the B field, otherwise known as geospace delta B, during this geomagnetic excursion, when cosmic rays are at very high levels, but not at the highest levels that they've ever been. We've got 2 north poles, one over Canada, one over Siberia. The net pole is somewhere east of Greenland, and the south pole is creeping off of the Atlantic continent into the southern Indian Ocean towards southwestern Australia. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data from that. There's the GOES magnetometer data, looking continued spiky, as opposed to like this, which is how it looks when there's a more normal sun behavior right now, as we're seeing these solar minimum style conditions. So right now, the South Pole is completely in charge of the current sheet, shown here in red. North Pole shown in green. This is the top view ecliptic plane field plot, as if you're looking down at the sun from the north. Stereo A off there to your left, and stereo B off to the right. This data 1 hour and 36 minutes old, and keep in mind, magnetic environments can change with no warning. Although if you want advance warning, this is the place to find it, as the sun informs us of what it's doing via these magnetometers. And the data is derived from 50 ground-based magnetometers, actually 51 on Earth, and 1 on stereo A and 1 on stereo B. So here's the line of sight field plot, and you can see that South Pole magnetism and that giant South Pole solar polar coronal hole. Electrons have risen as forecasted, and this is how we do bike rides at 2,800 miles per hour average speed. And there's a GOES electron flux, and it elevated a little bit yesterday as forecasted. We're expecting this to head back up today, probably into warning levels. So expect some GPS errors, especially around the equator at noon. And here's what we're talking about here. These blobs will give you some idea of how many meters of error you would get if you're using a GPS in those errors, in those areas. And we're not going to worry about charging hazards, as there's probably no satellite techs really worried about watching our videos. However, if you are a satellite tech watching our videos, please leave a comment. Perhaps give us some additional insight about the total electron content forecast. Next, we'll look at the ionosphere. And for you new viewers, those red areas, those are where the F2 layer is not an F2 layer, it's just an F layer. And that's where radio signal propagation will not really work out very well. It'll just go blasting off into space and not be re-emitted to your radio target. Anyway, ionosphere looking pretty normal, save some charge ups over the South Pacific at nighttime. There's the latest image coming in at 9 o'clock UT, looking pretty normal. And we're going to have to skip the cosmology segment today in the daily space weather video, as we'll probably make a separate video at some point. It may include cosmology. It may not. It's a secret. It's classified. Next, we'll look at windy.com's pressure maps. There's where pressure is now. And we'll let this advance via the GFS forecast. Looks like a low pressure system growing off of Cape Cod there. There's where we expect things to be. Strong low pressure system forming there off of Cape Cod. Expected to be there at 1300 tomorrow. Largest earthquake of the past 24 was a 6.1 in the Pacific Ocean. Let's scroll up the list. And we did see another quake in Kansas there too. There's one in Petrolia, California. Central Mid-Atlantic Ridge saw 5.6. There's a deep one at Tonga. It's a 5.1 magnitude at 328 kilometers. If that was at the surface, that would be about, let's see, that would be about a 6.2 or something like that at the surface. And coming in nearly at the exact same time, only 4 minutes later, this 6.1 strikes the Central East Pacific rise. So Tonga, and then 4 minutes later, that's that quake. That's a ping pong series of quakes if you ever saw one. There's one nearly at 100 kilometers on the southern tip of the Kamchatka Peninsula, a highly volcanic region, and a 4.8 at Vanuatu. That one at 106 kilometers. Oh my God! Holy crow! Will somebody save us? Well, we'll do our best, folks. Have you been to smAsho.com/forum? There are all kinds of topics there. We've got a cosmology forum. There's an Earth and geophysics forum. There's a general science. There's the sun, a free-for-all, and a new users forum. So please check it out. Set up a login. Thanks to all the new users. It's a wild success over there as well. Let's talk about benefits of fasting once again, and shout out to Terry. Here's an article that we've put up on February 28th. Simple and free. Scientists find what enhances your immune system and helps you live longer. It's intermittent fasting, folks, and we're not telling you to fast because we're worried about the food supply running out. It's just because of the health benefits. So we're not trying to rationalize your starvation or anything, but consider trying it out, especially if you're stuck at home because overreaching governments have created ridiculous interventionism, preventing you from doing things that you want to do. It'll be interesting to see today in Pennsylvania whether or not the police decide to uphold Governor Wolf's rules or decide to uphold the Constitution. So anyway, consider perhaps trying the ketogenic diet. You'll be healthier as a result. And if you want to read about it, it's on smAsho.com/forum in the free-for-all forum. So welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, folks. Check out smashamash.org. We've got a bunch of links there. You can link to the forum from there as well. Let's talk about malarkey. Thank goodness there's no malarkey regarding the Joe Biden campaign, because I was really concerned. I mean, weren't you worried about malarkey? I mean, I was worried about it. I'm also wondering if there is going to be any bamboozlery, hogwash, poppycock, or dementia, because all that stuff is worth tuning into. Let's see what I'm talking about here. As this Twitter post seems to check this out. If you haven't seen this one yet, folks, wow.
Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. Oh.
This is one amazing... Look at this.
Thanks.
This is his victory speech.
Okay.
Following his handing Bernie Sanders his you-know-what in the latest series of primaries.
Thank you all for listening.
He says, thank you all for listening. And then he stands there staring blankly. And his wife comes up on stage.
Thanks.
And, awkward much? Holy crap! What is happening? So anyway, I thought you'd be interested in that. No Malarkey Joe. We've put it in the insanity files. And the real insanity is that people are voting for that guy. Jeez, what is going on? I want to revisit this topic right here. You see this graph? This is what the U.S. doesn't want, as that will overload hospitals and cause more deaths. This is what the U.S. does want. And if you're the guy who's been posting about how there's no units over here and there's no units down here, it's because these graphs still apply. Just because there's no units there does not make these graphs incorrect. The reason that the U.S. is trying to quarantine people is not because we expect to stop the spread of the virus. That's nonsense and doesn't work. Stopping spreading a highly contagious virus like this is equivalent to trying to stop the wind. Mankind does not have the capability to do it, so deal with it. And that is why we're trying to flatten out the curve. It's because of the way hospitals will get overloaded and make the pandemic worse than it is. We want to space out the infection of people because that helps with both the herd immunity and it helps with hospitals not getting overloaded. So, by the way, it is affected by sunlight and heat also. So, since this article got scrubbed from the internet, we decided to host it on our own servers instead because nobody will censor it except for me. And I don't really censor the posts here at smashomash.com/forum. So if you want to read this lengthy article full of facts and lacking nonsense, feel free. And watch the mortality rate continue to drop as I've forecasted. So as more and more tests come out, that's what you're going to see happen, folks. And I'm not being flippant about it. I'm being dead serious about it from day one. If you want to read about what I was saying about it since day one, head to smashomash.com/forum. We started covering this on January 23rd. So lighten up, people. Laughter is great therapy, especially when you're shut in, frightened by misinformation on the internet, fear-mongering in the mainstream media and from various levels of government. So share the smAsho forum, as it's a massive repository of actual information. A new test has come out, and we've got all kinds of here's some information I put up about whether viruses are alive. Viruses are not considered a kingdom of life, although perhaps they should be. Maybe there should be a new kingdom of life. Who knows? What do you say? As they have unique genetic material, but because of the way they do or do not process energy, or allegedly do or do not process energy, perhaps they're not considered life forms. Well, they're certainly not considered life forms. What say you? Pennsylvania has started large-scale business shutdown starting this morning at 8 a.m. And just like that, our liberty vanishes. Welcome to the giant bureaucratic overreach nightmare. If you aren't scared of COVID-19, perhaps very stupid human reactions, bloated self-perpetuating government graft will frighten you. The most pathetic quote of all is, oh, and by the way, Governor Tom Wolf, Democrat scumbag, is facing opposition and lawsuits. The idea of the police going out to make sure we had full compliance is something that he thinks is very important. Well done, Governor Wolf. Do you remember when you got sworn in as governor and you swore to uphold the Pennsylvania and the U.S. Constitution? Well, guess what, dude? That kind of language isn't even in the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Act. So I can't wait to watch the civil unrest and, civil disobedience happen today. I'm thinking about calling the state police and asking them if they plan to enforce this utterly unconstitutional set of laws. Anyway, we also have information about the top secret plans about if the government gets crippled, the way Washington would get evacuated, and so on. We also put up an article about how embedded inside Minecraft, yes, the game Minecraft, is full of uncensored library articles that can get you killed in some countries. So once again, gaming leads the way, as it has in computer technology from day one. I mean, if you want to know what elite computer user I am, I had an IBM PS2 Model 25 back in the mid-1980s, and I needed to upgrade it from 512 kilobytes of memory to 640 kilobytes of memory so I could play Ultima 6. And yeah, so I was building PCs all the way back in the mid-80s. If you don't think I'm a hardcore expert at computers, well, I don't know what to tell you. It just happens to be that people that are around my age have a special affinity for computers. And this is why big tech companies can't fool us. Anyway, how much should you be exercising during the coronavirus pandemic? Moderately. You should be doing light to moderate exercise. If you don't do enough, it's bad for you. If you do too much, it's bad for you. And this article is citing a study from the Hong Kong flu of 1998, I believe it is, where people who exercise light to moderate had better results. So, also bond purchasing has kicked up, and we're expecting to see a massive drop in the stock market today. Apparently, more inflation is happening, as Bernie Sanders is calling for $2,000 for everybody every month, while the government has, I believe, approved $1,000. So expect helicopter money coming. And that was supposed to be the term helicopter money was not supposed to be a real term, folks. But guess what? It's here. So welcome to the inflation. Your money is going to be worth less. The government's going to pump it out, and it's going to cause duress. I'm going to just scroll the CNBC Markets page just to show you what the futures are like right now. So it looks like Fleer is still dropping. Carnival Corp is rising up for some reason. It must be a dead cat bounce. There you can see the drop in bonds indicating purchasing in the bonds markets. Oil nearly at $20 a barrel, as we forecasted. Silver still at $12.56 an ounce. There's the one-year graph of silver, and that is the safe place to hide. It's not crypto. It's not bonds. It's not stocks right now. It's certainly silver. Look at the prices. Please leave a comment if you remember when I was talking about how silver is a good purchase at $13 back in November and December of 2018. Next, we're going to look at the Johns Hopkins map, and hopefully you won't go, "Oh my God," and freak out about it. There's 341,000 cases confirmed. And keep in mind, look at Russia. You really think that there's only 438 cases in Russia? That's insanity. You think there's only this many cases in Africa? Yeah, right. We can't test everybody, folks. We just simply can't. And it looks like they've changed the graph and just included one graph, gotten rid of China, and recovered. So anyway, there's the total recovered, 98,866. And we're not going to talk about your chances of getting it, but we're going to talk about are things that you must beware of. Beware of
overreach
of government officials, as they're going to make sure they take advantage of any crisis to justify their own existence through processes of
interventionism,
which damage the economy and people's lives. When the government tries to figure out what business are essential, what will you be doing when you shelter in? Will you be watching a movie like perhaps this one? Here's one of my favorite, most hilarious quotes from Mr. Pacino here in a classic film. He's like, only place you can get your fingers is some dyke. Anyway, I implore you to please spike pile drive this bug like the rest. There appears to be countless different treatments for it, and it should be interesting to see what those are, as we don't need a vaccine or any new drugs likely at all, as there are plenty of various different generation antibiotics that will annihilate COVID-19. Let's go to volcanoes. Khrushchev score is exploding and producing a 20,000-foot ash blow. Mount Aso, flight level 6,000 there. Sakurajima, flight level 7,000 there. Suwanusejima back on the list, flight level 3,000 there. Soputan, in Indonesia, on the list now, suddenly erupting. I don't remember ever hearing of it before. Flight level 14,000 there. Continuous volcanic ash coming out of Dakono, producing a 6,000-foot plume of ash. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 21,000. Sangay exploding, flight level 22,000. Ravenador exploding, flight level 15,000. And sporadic emissions from Sabancaya are an indication that you shouldn't attempt to do a back handspring over the caldera. Let's look at the jet streams. There are the eastern jets. And we'll rotate this thing around. There are the western jets. Please leave a comment if you think the jet streams are made in China. Is it made in China? These jet streams are made in China. Okay. Made in China. 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 Next, we'll look at the water vapor maps. Here's Europe and Africa. Here is Oceania and the Far East. Here's the U.S. And it was actually snowing, by the way. If you follow me on Instagram, I put up a video about how it's snowing, and I'm excited. Sadly, it's probably going to change to rain. It looks like we have a warm flow coming in. Let's hope it gets colder and not warmer. Actually, there might be some jet stream cold air pushing through here. We're hoping that we get a foot. I just simply don't care how much snow falls. Bring it on. Bring it all on. It's not going to stop me. It's not going to faze me. It's actually going to make me happy. And I'm going to actually view what's going on above my own head. As we usually show water vapor close-ups in this section. Check out the Hall currents down here. See all those vertical lines? See the way the water's moving this way? Yeah. That's the Hall effect in the atmosphere, folks. Everything's not electric, but some things are. Anyway, that dry air is getting moistened quickly. And let's move on here to another bonus feature. It's the U.S. Doppler radar map, courtesy of Weather Underground. Please leave a comment if you think it's named after terrorists. I really have no idea. And let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Well, it's spring, and I finally see some snow. And for that, we thank you.
So anyway, check us out on Instagram if you haven't. We put up exclusive content everywhere, pretty much. And looks like there's some lightning. We're at lightningmaps.org, by the way. Check that out for your real-time lightning maps. And hey, Tuscaloosa. Hey, Fayette. Hey, West Point. Hey, Hamilton. Tupelo. There's thunder rolling in. That's a significant line. Check that out. Big-time lightning in Mississippi and Alabama. And hey, Smash team, thanks for tuning in. Whether you tuned in to the Smash stream or whether you tuned in to syndication, ask yourself, is it live or is it Memorex? You could have seen this earlier if you were on Twitch. Thanks to our patrons, the real source of funding for this, as YouTube has been trying its best to pay us nothing, although in their defense, they have been indeed remonetizing some of our content. So cheers to them for that. We try to give credit where credit's due. And thanks to our Subscribe Star base, another spot where you can help to fund our operations. And we are going to be filing nonprofit paperwork soon. We've gotten a little bit delayed because we're a little bit too busy over here. And check out our final bonus of features. It's the intensity gram of the sun showing 0 sunspots. Here's the colorized magnetogram showing not a lot of magnetic complexity or organization. A little bit going on up here, but not much. And last but not least, let's do the 94 angstroms view. It's a 48-hour video, as we have got to get out of here and do lots of things today, like create some more content, so look for that coming up. Thanks for tuning in. Please support the channel via various links below the video. Stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back. And may the atherosclerosis And by the way, cardiovascular disease is way deadlier than any infectious disease in terms of deaths that it causes. May that atherosclerosis be absent from your arteries and that solar wind be at your back.